What's up, guys? How's it going? Easy Things to Draw, and I am Enrique. Today we're going to go over how to draw clothing. And I'm going to make about 3 videos of this to kind of go over it and hopefully go over it a little bit more in depth. So this is video 1. Before anything else, I want to get the marketing thing out of the way, the whole word from our sponsor. This is a pencil case that we sell on a separate website called armadillo.com. And essentially this is a pencil case you can strap to your arm so you can throw in different sizes of pencils. Excuse how dirty this one is. This is mine. This is literally the one I use. So it is, you know, used up. So forgive me for that. But you can throw in several different kinds of pencils. And if you want, you can strap it to your arm as you kind of go out sketching. You know what I mean? I never really throw a pencil like that in there. I usually throw pens, that kind of thing. And actually this is kind of a, you know, like a larger model. But we sell them in medium, small, and large. The large is kind of sold out right now, but it'll be in stock again in about a month. The other option that you have is we have this band right here, and this is the way I usually use it, where I get this band, I stretch it around my large sketchbook, and I have it stuck there. You know what I mean? And I can carry it anywhere I want. That's, or you know, maybe you can throw it around a Wacom, you know, of some kind. But that's how I wear it. I usually like throw it onto my sketchbooks as well, but it also has a magnet, you know. But anywho, check that out. Enough of the marketing stuff, blah blah blah. Let's get into the clothing. So the clothing option, let me kind of talk to you a little bit about clothing. So when you're drawing clothes, a lot of it is going to strain from pressure points, kind of where you're putting the pressure within the clothing. You know, remember, let me start from the beginning. So when you're drawing people, we tend to learn to draw people in the nude normally first. Kind of like life drawing, they have nude models, right? The reason for that is because the clothing put on top of it reflects what's below it. And that's the truth, right? It reflects, like, if you're a bigger, you know, huskier dude, that's going to come out in your clothing. If you're like a thicker body type, that will also kind of come out in your clothing, you know, depending. You know, you can kind of mess with that. But to talk about different, this is actually my sketchbook right now, but I did some sketches just for this video. But let me go to the page that I wanted to go to. So, okay, on this one right here, let's check this out. As it drapes down, there's going to be a pressure point, right? Gravity's pulling it down, so the pressure would be right here at the top of the shoulder, right? And it's just kind of coming downward. This one, as slowly as it bends, you know, there's this kind of pressure right here. It'll really start pulling against the shoulder. You know what I mean? I'll say around this point. And you have a lot of these folds that are kind of going toward one area. You know what I mean? It's almost like the tension, and then it's like spreads out from that tension. I would say look for pictures to kind of see exactly where that is. I'll go over in another video as well, though. See how it bends. You get certain types of folds in the fabric. So when you look at folds in different things, it tends to look like a big mess, right? Right off the bat. Same thing like when you look at a person, right? And you look at anatomy, doesn't it look kind of like a big jumbled bunch of crap, right? It looks like a big mess when you don't know what you're looking at. So what they kind of did was, when you're looking at anatomy, they essentially engineered a system. They systemized it, right? They systemized it, they looked at it, looked for similar traits, and then they categorized it. That's the same way when you look at cloth. When you look at clothing, that you have to look at what you're doing and try to understand it. We have to systemize it. So with that, like, think about, see the tension right here. Think about where the tension's coming from. But with that, you have different kinds of folds, and people have decided to name these folds. You know, I use about 5 of them. Like, I like even when you look at especially when you look at a photo, you look at this big jumbled mess, and you're like, we need to identify that. You know, so for now, for this video, I'm gonna go over the different kinds of folds that I try to identify, and when you identify them, you can, you know, organize them, and you can start drawing them out of your head as well. So first one, pipe fold right here. I drew a picture of this. Pipe fold is essentially when you have like a tablecloth, you know what I mean, and they just literally look like tubes. You know what I mean? And that's like one of the most common ones. You see that in tablecloths, and you'll see that like in bed sheets. Usually when it's hanging off from a certain point, it just creates this like tube-like pattern. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a pattern. It could be one. You know what I mean? It just literally looks like a tube. So they call it a pipe fold. So most people have dubbed it. That's fold number one. It's pretty easy, you know, and you can identify it like seriously, like even around your house, like just like look at the side of your bed when it's made. You know, you'll see like probably a pipe fold. Boom. Especially the tablecloth. That one is always true. So that's the pipe fold, and that's really all the characteristic that I can think of for that. And then now you have the zigzag fold, which is up here. Look up in this area. Ignore this for now. Zigzag fold. You see that a lot on sleeves. You know what I mean? You tend to see that a lot when it kind of bunches up, and it creates this zigzag pattern. Literally, they're named after what they look like, you know? So, like, if you look in there, again, it has this zigzag. This one, to me, is the hardest to draw, for me, because there's like a sharp edge up here, and then a soft edge, and then sharp. It almost looks kind of random until you try to figure it out. You can't literally make it a zigzag-like tube. It'll look like a tube on his arm. So you have to know where to indicate, you know, where to show the zigzag pattern. And honestly, I don't think there's anything I could tell you. It's something that I think you need to look at photos. Just type in like zigzag folds and see how other people draw it, or just look at real clothing. And especially around the, it's usually on the back of the, like the back of the leg. You know, where you're maybe if you're wearing jeans, in the back of it where it bends. I see these a lot, or in the arm, usually where it's bending, like in the inner part of the arm when you're wearing a suit or you're wearing a like a regular T-shirt or something. But it creates this zigzag where it's not like a full-blown fold. I'll show you that in a minute. But that is a zigzag kind of fold in drapery. So moving down. This is like a direct cousin to that. This is the spiral fold, and I see this. When it's essentially the zigzag fold, but it's like more compressed and it's more turned. You know what I mean? You see it's like more major. Everything about it just major. It literally looks like spirals that you wrapped around your arm. You know? Excuse me. But, and that's the only way I can describe that too. It is literally a zigzag fold, but more compressed and more turned. You know, it literally just starts turning when the fabric literally starts turning around the corner. You know what I mean? And it probably feels annoying on your arm, you know. I see this a lot on sweatshirts. Kind of sweatshirts are a lot bunched up and turned. Especially this. This is totally a sweatshirt right here. That's a spiral fold. This is a half lock fold, I believe. I didn't label it. This is a half lock fold, and this has to do with the actual bending in itself. Where the other ones kind of talk about the long part of the arm, where I don't like the other folds. If you look at them, there's no full blown. They're not talking about the actual kind of like crease as you bend your whole arm. This one is. This is like the crease. This main crease. When you really bend your arm, you get something called a half lock fold. It's a fold kind of within itself. It looks like basically looks like a hot pocket or something to me. It just looks like this huge pocket as you bend. This is like the leg. Let's say this is the knee right here. Can you see this? Yeah. This is the knee, let's say. And this, it creates this huge pocket right here. And sometimes they'll have pockets within pockets, but those are half locks, they call them. Same thing right here with the arm. And then from the front, a half lock looks like this. It's this part right here. That huge bend when you bend your leg. You see it every day. You know, if you wear pants, I wear shorts. Actually, I wear pants. But it's this kind of like abnormally large pocket of fold. And I think of it as like spaghetti. So that's the half lock fold. This is a diaper fold. This is actually the last fold that I use. There's another one called a drop fold, but I don't really use it that much. Actually, there is another fold. I'm sorry. This is a diaper fold, kind of the way they used to fold diapers back when they made them out of cloth and stuff like that. I'm assuming this is where that name came from. But it's essentially when you grab it from two different points. See, there's like two different tension points. And it kind of hangs. I see this a lot in handkerchiefs. When people wear handkerchiefs around their neck, you see this kind of fold. And it kind of gets really tight up here. The folding, it's very close to each other up on top. And then it kind of loosens as it goes down, right? And it gets further away from each other. And the fold, it's almost like a wave. It gets really taut here, and it slowly dissipates. You see this in flag folding. A lot of stuff. I see this a lot. You know, usually when people hang stuff on the wall that's made of cloth. Superhero capes. If you look at Superman's cape from behind, it has this exact same thing. Batman's cape. Well, not so much Batman's cape. His is kind of like one straight thing. But Superman's cape, I see that a lot. And that is the Diaper Fold, as funny as that may sound. And there's one last one. This is called the Inert Fold. And this picture I drew for it doesn't really do it justice as much. And the way I like to think of this fold, and this is going to sound messed up, but I kind of think of it as random. It's these bizarre little folds that kind of conform to whatever's underneath it. Let's say there's like a stair. It's like a bizarre little fold like here somewhere. It almost seems completely random. It's just going with gravity, and they're tiny. And when you see a blanket that's bunched up, it's kind of what's left over. Like I identify like a pipe fold in here, you know, a diaper fold there, and then you're like, what is that? That would be an inert fold. You know, it's just kind of like a dimple out of nowhere that doesn't really connect to anything. That's just the way I define it. So that is an inert fold, which I like to call the leftover folds. But anyways, that's the folds. I would actually encourage you to go and Google the names of these folds, because this is the anatomy of clothing, of cloth. And like I said, remembering these types of folds, being able to draw them, and you can apply them. This is the beginning of starting to create clothing. You know what I mean? Just like when you learn anatomy of a superhero, like we learn the anatomy of a person, you can start creating superheroes out of it because you know your anatomy. Same thing. You know your anatomy of the clothing, of cloth. You start creating your own clothing, which looks, you know, pretty correct or correct enough. In the next video, I'm going to go over and how to identify these things within a photo. And then the third video, I want to go over how do you create this from your head. And so, anywho, those will be videos for like maybe like in a week or something. Thanks a lot, guys. If you learned anything from this video, I'd love to hear your questions below. And if you liked it, like it, share it. My channel's growing monumentally. I'm really happy and proud of this channel. I'm also making my Ends Art channel very well. Really happy. Cannot stress how happy I am.